Boris Johnson is close to rejecting Huawei, and Dominic Raab says that we have to change our relationship with China. Well, it looks like the British government is growing a backbone. Over the last couple of months, we've seen the Chinese government and the CCP showing their true face. And not that it was a big secret. We already knew they were evil. But what's been kind of exposed is how they've been faking their relationship with the West. And so whatever happened over the last obviously few months with the virus, but also the influence that China have over the Western world. So for example, Huawei, a very innocent company that is being propped up by the Chinese state. There are a lot of issues with Huawei, and obviously on the one hand it's simply a business, on the other hand there are a lot of issues because they're tied to the Chinese state. And so they've been meaning to work on the 5G infrastructure in the UK, and obviously now that with everything's going on between the West and China, things are changing, and Boris Johnson got a lot of criticism recently for giving a platform to Huawei. Things are changing. So according to the New York Post, the UK is now to move to drop Huawei as a 5G vendor, citing that obviously the lack of transparency we had from the Chinese government is the main reason. One of the Tory MPs, Damien Green, has told Bloomberg that we need to devise a proper, realistic exit strategy from relying on Huawei. Our telecom providers need to know the government is determined to drive down Huawei's involvement to 0% over a realistic timescale. The mood in the parliamentary party has hardened. This is according to Tom Tugendhat, the Conservative Party's chairman on the House of Commons Foreign Affairs Committee. It's a shared realization of what it means for dependence on a business that is part of a state that does not share our values. Now, the biggest issue with this whole topic of Huawei, this is a whole different thing compared to the discussion people are having about 5G. Now, 5G and Huawei are two different topics. We're not getting to the theories about 5G. That's a whole different thing. Huawei, the problem with Huawei is that they're linked to the Chinese state, and there are issues with surveillance and our privacy. That's the biggest problem when it comes to the spyware that they have. It's nothing to do with the signals or wavelengths giving us cancer or anything, because 4G was supposed to do that. It didn't do it. 3G was supposed to do that. Didn't do it. So this is a whole different topic, and but Huawei, obviously, they're quite risky to do business with, and this is why Dominic Raab has now told the government that we need to change our relationship with China. Yes, according to Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary, who's now essentially running the cabinet while Boris Johnson is resting, that the Chinese government cannot be trusted and we have to change our relationship. He said that I think there absolutely needs to be a very, very deep dive after the event review of the lessons. And he's absolutely right. After this whole chaos, we need to do a proper investigation, international investigation into China. Dominic Raab said that the UK and China did have a good cooperation in the past when it comes to the procurement of equipment and the return of the UK nationals. But he's also said that there is no doubt that we can't have business as usual after this. And we will have to ask the hard questions about how it came about and how it couldn't have been stopped earlier. Good. This is more important than having a Tory backbencher saying something, because Dominic Raab is the Foreign Secretary. It's his job to develop relationships with other countries. So let's see if the government will actually do anything about this. If this is going to be the new line, this could change everything when it comes to the relationship between the West and China, because President Trump is already losing appetite when it comes to China. And then if Britain gets it behind America, then the whole game will change. Now, speaking of 5G, there are also changes that we're going to see. BT and Ericsson are coming together to develop the 5G technology in the UK without the need to actually get China or Huawei involved, and this could be interesting. Yes, BT and Ericsson are now teaming up to deliver cloud-native dual-mode 5G core. This could be obviously fascinating for the competition that we've had in the market, because until now Huawei have basically had the monopoly in terms of getting access to the infrastructure. But things are going to be changing. Ericsson and BT have now signed a deal to deploy Ericsson's dual-mode 5G core, a fully container-based cloud-native mobile packet core for 4G and 5G, obviously, and other technologies. The solution delivered on BT's network cloud will form a key component in BT's move to a single converged IP network. Now, the whole important thing about this whole story is that until now, the reason everybody was so dependent on Huawei was that there was no one else who actually had a proper plan to be able to offer the UK government, for example, to deliver this. But thanks to BT and Ericsson actually for once teaming up and working together, we could actually see Huawei getting kicked out. Now, this is a story that's still developing, so we'll definitely keep you guys posted. If you're obviously not a member of this channel yet, make sure you subscribe and click on that bell next to it. We do have a daily show at 5:45 p.m. Now, let's talk about the NHS. Now, during the recent crisis, obviously the NHS staff, nurses, doctors and everybody have been amazing. And people have been paying tribute. But I've also seen a lot of people, instead of doing that, they've been paying tribute to the NHS. Instead of the staff, instead of doctors or nurses, they've been paying tribute to the NHS. And this is obviously creating a number of problems. One is that this religion that we have, this monster of a religion that we've created, is getting so big and so untouchable that no one can even reform it anymore, especially after this. Second problem is, in this country, every Thursday, is going to be a normal thing now, we go outside and clap for our, obviously, NHS staff, nurses, doctors, carers, everybody, and which is fine. I mean, it's just part of, your typical symbolism. At the same time, this is also creating problems. The virtue signaling is fine to an extent until it becomes a problem. Outside St. Thomas's Hospital last night, actually it was 2 days ago, we had a number of people that were encouraged by the police and hospital staff to come outside a hospital, ignore social distancing, and clap. Let's watch this clip. I mean, what? It's not. That wasn't the only place, by the way. This is another place that we had in the country on Thursday. Well, it's absolutely ridiculous. What happened to social distancing? If you sit down on a bench in a park on your own, no one around you, the police will come and arrest you and fine you. But if you're virtue signaling outside a hospital, that's fine, guys, that's fine. This is why, for once, actually, the Met Police have been attacked. Yes, the Met Police officers have been criticised for allowing people to breach social distancing rules on Westminster Bridge during the weekly round of applause for frontline workers. And I don't understand how this actually even was allowed to happen, but the Met Commissioner was actually present there, and she encouraged people to do this. She was right there. Now, on Twitter, a number of people, including a doctor who works at the same hospital, said that he was perplexed by the lack of social distancing. Elaine Patterson also said, "I honestly can't get my head around this. I've been feeling bad about going out for a wee jog around the quiet back streets every few days. Meanwhile, the police appear to be endorsing a blooming festival on Westminster Bridge." I mean, it's not even funny anymore. As I said, the hypocrisy of the police, what they're doing is, I've seen so many times in London where they walk in big groups of 5, 10, 15 police officers together to target one individual who's sitting on a bench for 2 minutes, and at the same time, when you go around the tube, the train stations and other certain places, including outside St. Thomas's Hospital on Thursday night, no one cares. Ooh, this is what happens when you create a monster of a religion, and basically rules don't apply to virtue signaling if you show your love to the NHS logo, because if you get rid of this, people will die apparently. Because if you create a Western European or Scandinavian healthcare model that has a safety net and doesn't actually have the government running the healthcare, that's very bad. Even though people are healthier there, even though healthcare is more efficient there, even though the outcome, the quality of care is better there. No, but we like the logo, right? It's a nice logo. Let's just keep it. It doesn't matter if people are dying because of the poor quality of the NHS. Yeah, it's fine. So yeah, I could make a whole video, like half a day, to talk about the NHS, but I'm not going to do that. But I want to say massive thank you to the actual staff, doctors and nurses and carers in our healthcare system. That's a whole different topic to this idiotic healthcare model that we created. But we will talk about this more. As I said, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and click on that bell next to it so you get notified. We have a daily show at 5:45 p.m. I'm Tousi. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.